got some brand new megas, y'all, so you know what that means. Tier list time. Slop, 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 slop. Everybody. Reg M-B is here, and with that we get a bunch of new Pokemon, a bunch of new megas, which is what we're going to be focused on today. We're going to be tearing off these new mega Pokemon to see where they fit in the regulation, and then after that we're going to be looking at some of the old megas and seeing how they match up. So if you like these kind of videos, which I know y'all do, click like for your boy, subscribe if you're new, and let's go ahead and get right into this tier list without any further ado. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with the megas that are new, and then maybe I'll do the old ones too, like around that, but we're going to start off with the new ones. I know you guys can see here that some are already on the list, and the YouTube tier didn't play an MA. So like I just threw a couple of the really bad ones in the list already just to get them out the way. But we're going to start off with Mega Scrafty. Mega Scrafty is a mega that should be really good, but I think the problem is that like its ability doesn't get as much value right now with the current megas that we have and the current mons overall. For example, we are playing in a format with King Gambit. We are playing in a format with Staraptor, and we'll get to Staraptor. You can intimidate Staraptor in its base, but then if you mega evolve, and it's going to mega evolve first because it's faster, you're just going to get rid of the boost, right? Because you're going to give them a boost is what I should say, because you're going to intimidate them again, but they'll already have their contrary ability turned on by then. So I think that is a bit of an issue. Also, like being 4 times weak to fairy right now is not great in a format with a couple of really good fairy types. I'm going to put it in C purely because intimidate overall is a good ability, and it's better than everything down here, right? Like this stuff is absolutely just like terrible, and I don't want to put it that low. Maybe I'll end up putting it that low, we'll see. But I kind of have to put it there for now. I even have pulled up some of these bonds, like even its stats, right? Like it's not like super duper uber strong compared to the other megas. Obviously 130 is really strong, but like, and it has really good bulk. The HP stat you can mitigate by investing in it, but it's a little fast for Trick Room stuff, I would say. And you can play it in Tailwind, but like Scrafty and Tailwind as your mega is just not really cutting it. Low-key I could put it lower, but I'm gonna leave it here for now, see where things end up. Mega Raichu X. So Mega Raichu X is, I've played against it a few times and it just doesn't do anything. The 110 speed is nice overall, but like the things that you want it to outspeed, it doesn't, right? Like Aerodactyl is too fast, Sneasler is too fast, right? Sneasler is a faster fake out. Stuff like that is just really hard to beat. Garchomp is even more prevalent now than it was in the first format. I'm trying to see if like if this is better than Scrafty, because I'd drop Scrafty down if I think it's better than, if I think it's worse than Raichu, but I'll leave them both together for now. But C tier I think feels fair because Raichu has uses versus like it being a useless Pokemon. I don't think these Pokemon are useless at all. I just don't think they're close enough to the top. As you can see here with the list, I have this thing called Meta Revolvers over the S tier, because I think there are some S tier megas that are not the ones that make the meta move, but are still too good to maybe put some of the A tiers, and we'll see if we keep that. I think Mega Raichu Y is just a little bit better than X. I think the speed tier is better, and I think paralyzing people is better. I think Zap Cannon is better. It does the things that this guy wants to do just better, right? Because it has the speed stat that this one doesn't have. So because you can actually fake out the Sneaslers, because you can actually hit the Aerodactyls, but 50% of the time before they move because you speed tie. Because you can do stuff like that, I think it makes sense. You can even run like Grass Knot for some of the ground types on this thing and actually KO them. So I think that makes it like a B tier. I gotta see if I'm gonna keep it here because there's some other B tiers that I think might be better than it. So I need to see how that plays out. Maybe everything does start moving down like a little bit. So this guy, I think it's also gonna be a B tier, Sceptile, because the speed tier is really good, right? Like, I can't say that Sceptile sucks when its speed is this fast and its special attack is this high. And like with Raichu being like around, even if you don't think, regardless of how good you think Raichu is, whether you think it's like an S tier or it's like YouTube content, Lightning Rod actually has value now, right? Because you're playing against Archaludon, you're playing against like Raichu, playing against like some Rotoms occasionally. So I think it has good value. Not to mention, I think they gave it Earth Power as coverage now. So like you're not just you can hit the fire types, you can hit the Incineroars, you can hit the steel types, right? And And then your grass coverage, like Leaf Storm, for example, is pretty strong, 130 off this 145 attack. So I think that Sceptile actually has like a role. Some people have been playing it with like discharge stuff to get the lightning rod boost, which is fine, but that feels a little whatever. Like, I think that is a YouTube thing that I might try, but that's definitely not like a tournament or anything, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll just win a tournament and I'll look crazy. So next up is Blaziken. The Blaziken is a tricky one because the bias in me wants to put it in A. Because I love Blaziken. I think it's really, really good. I'm gonna put it in B for now, but I might move it up. Blaziken is just, Mega Blaziken is just like normal Blaziken, except it's stronger in every way. So like if you see here, it still has speed boost, and I think speed is the most important stat in the game, right? It is base 100, which right now isn't like the premier speed tier anymore, because like you're tying with a lot of things or you're underspeeding stuff, but speed boost at 100 is a great speed tier. And this 160 attack stat is awesome. You could run it special with the 130 if that's your cup of tea. I ran special Blaziken in Rig H because I didn't want to be intimidate food. But like 160 attack stat, if you get intimidated, you're still hitting really, really hard. So it's not as big of a deal anymore, in my opinion. And you can really, really kind of do some funky things with the EV spreads. And Flavorless and Close Combat are just like really, really strong stab combo. Both really high base power moves off this 160 attack stat. And if you can get your speed boost up, you can do a lot of like really cool things with this Pokemon. Like I like to do coaching on it in case I need an extra move to boost it. Maybe I want to boost a teammate before my Blaziken goes down, right? Maybe it doesn't hit what's on the field that well, but I can make my teammate a little bit stronger. So stuff like that. It does get like Swords Dance if you want to run like a Swords Dance set with the speed boost, which is a really, really good option, honestly. And it has other stuff like Baton Pass, but you never really want a Baton Pass out. Your Blaziken just gonna dominate the game on its own. I actually do think I'm gonna move it up because I think it's better than these two. But I don't know if it's an A tier, but it just has to be higher than D. So maybe everything does end up moving down. We'll see. So Swampert is interesting because I'm going to put Swampert actually in A. I do think Swampert is a bit better right now, so I'm gonna drop Blaziken to the top of B. We'll see. Swampert is really good right now. Rain abusers are just kind of strong in a format where things are limited as they are. And they gave it Wave Crash. They didn't give it Headlong Rush, so make it like completely overpowered, but like they gave it Wave Crash, and Wave Crash is incredible. 150 attack is really, really good. Actually, it's like extraordinary to have this with Wave Crash and then Swift Swim. So like your chances are you're always playing this thing in rain. You don't have to though, right? It could just be your water type, but you can make it more of a bulky water type if you want, because like look at it, defense is 110, speed def is 110, right? You can make it a bulky water and run it outside of rain, which I think is what kind of tips it over the edge for me, is that you can run it with or without rain. But with rain, 150 base power Wave Crash is KOing like everything that isn't like a defensive monster. So I think that's really, really good. I don't think it's quite S tier. Because I do think people are pigeonholing it into rain in that sense. So like, and I guess there are better water types for not rain teams. So I think that this is pretty solid. I think I'm going to put Mawile. Mawile feels better than Raichu. And it feels better than Sceptile. It's not as good as okay, so you know what? I have to probably drop these things down a bit. I'll put Raichu at the top of C, and I'll put you at the top of C, because I think Mawile is pretty good. I think Mawile's pretty good. I don't know if I can put it as high as A right now, because it is a bit of a like Trick Room centric mon, but it's really strong. It's really, really strong, right? Huge power off this attack stat, right? So you go here, let's say you're like Adamant, you probably run it Brave or whatever, but like your attack stat gets up to 344, right? Because it doubles the raw number. It doesn't double your base attack, it doubles your raw number. So 344 attack stat like is kind of out of this world. Like for example, if I go here and go put this one to Adamant, that only gets up to 22. Like this is like wildly stronger. It's just that it's slow, but like it gets good coverage. I get Sucker Punch, Play Rough, Iron Head. Play Rough is obviously, you know, gambling, but listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. This Pokemon is really, really good. And I think if you're stat boosting, if you're stat boosting and you have good stats already, you can't put it any like lower than B, right? Because huge power doubles your attack stat. Speed boost is boosting your speed, which is the most important stat in the game. So I want to say that these two are comparable in that sense. Speaking of stat boosting, I think Staraptor is also pretty good. Pretty good, yeah, because again, it's a stat boosting bond. I think all the stat boosters are about right here. This one I will say is tricky in the sense that like it needs to do something to boost the stats, whereas like Blaziken, its stats go up simply by existing. At the end of every turn you get a speed boost. Mawile, its stat boost simply on Mega Evolution, it just doubles the attack stat straight out, right? You don't have to click any other buttons to make that happen. Staraptor starts off as base Staraptor, right? And it doesn't start with the ability. So you can intimidate this thing on turn 1 and it will go to -1. And then it has to boost through the -1 before it can start boosting above neutral. So like people will run this thing with like Whimsicott or something, right? And they'll click like Charm to go -2 to go +2, which gets you to a +1 if you're intimidated already, right? And if they run Tickle, Tickle will then make it a will get from -1 to neutral. Obviously, if you're at neutral already, you go to +1 or +2 depending on the move you use. And then close combat will boost your defenses as well. And it has a good speed tier at 110, same speed as Metagross. So I think it's a strong Pokemon. I don't think it's like one of your primary megas on the team. Which maybe I was thinking like these also feel like mods that like could kind of be your primary mega, but like are better as your secondary. But they have a better chance to be the #1 mega of your team than Staraptor does, in my opinion. I think Staraptor is a really good matchup check, a really good matchup patch for your megas that may struggle with certain stuff. Like for example, if you have a team that struggles with like sand, I think Staraptor is really good into sand, right? Because you threaten Excadrill and T-Tar really, really hard, and they don't really threaten you as hard either, right? So I think this is a really good check for stuff that needs to like Delphox, Charizard can really use this as a partner, in my opinion. This thing actually is buns, so you're going right in the bottom. It's really bad. I even tried testing it for a friend of mine, and it's so bad. This speed stat is horrible. The bulk is not enough to stay on the field. You can maybe try to do something with like the coil stuff, right? But the thing is like your coil is kind of slow because you're only base 80, and you need an extra turn to get your boost up. And your attack stat's really good. But I think you're going to be intimidatable. You can run Wild Charge. And then if you're running like the special stuff, like Thunderbolt off base 135 is fine for normal Pokemon, but for your Mega, it's just kind of not cutting it. Like I was hitting stuff and I was like, yo, I'm not doing any damage. And then its coverage, it gets like Flamethrower. And it gets like Dragon Pulse. So you can hit the Garchomps with this, but you don't really kill the Garchomps with it, right? Now granted you have Levitate or Elevate in this case, so you can like also dodge the ground moves, which is really good. It means you have no weaknesses. I think that's a really good ability overall. And you get like the Beast Boost, so your highest stat goes up whenever you get a KO. It's just this thing is just not getting KOs, and it's like dying before it does. Like even like Charizard is kind of just like weatherballing this thing and killing it, right? And it just can't do anything about that. So it's really, really hard to like make work, and I think it's like god awful. Malamar, let me look at Malamar one more time before I put it in YouTube content. Its stats suck, and contrary, it's a worse contrary mod than the ones that we have. This thing is probably worse than my Lodic. So yeah, this thing stinks. I'm gonna put it in the bottom. Maybe somebody will prove me wrong one day and they'll win a tournament with it. Probably not though, I'm sorry. The pan, no, who we have that? Barbarical is interesting. Because it has a good ability, right? Tough Claws is good. Tough Claws is good. And its offensive typing is interesting because like you hit the steel types, like Arch for a good amount of damage. Like close combat, Tough Claws boosted is really good. And you do get stuff like Shell Smash if you can get a turn to set it up. And I think that, you know, I think I might move it up. I think I'm gonna move it up to B. No, but it's not as good as these three is the problem, right? All right, so you know what I'm actually do here? I'm gonna make an executive decision. Oh, no, put that back. I'm gonna make an executive decision. Add row below. Yeah, it's gonna make it like purple. Oh, no, let's put that back how it was. What? You guys are trying to mess up my stuff. Okay, so this one, we're gonna make like purple, whatever. Yeah, because I think going from C directly to trash is kind of throwing me off. So like I think you are a D tier. I think you are a D tier. So like not completely useless, but like these all feel completely useless. So these in C feel fine. Because these feel a little bit better. Yeah, that feels like average. C is like an average mega, right? And I think these are a little bit above average. There we go. That feels, and this is like just straight up like really good. And then this is like great, and then the middle. Okay, yeah, this feels a lot nicer because now I can separate these guys who I think are worse than these guys. I just think that having Shell Smash here is like just good, right? Like you have the option to do stuff if you can get it off. Like if you get it off and you click Shell Smash close combat, you're gonna blow people up, which is the way I look at it. Next up we have Scolipede. I think Scolipede is kind of buns, but out of respect for like the fact that the base Scolipede gets speed boost and you can like get a speed boost, and then go to like +1, like 125 speed, at +1 is actually kind of respectable, right? Because you get like a 50, like a 75 boost. No, you got like a 50, like a 60 point boost, something like that. And you go up to a stat that outspeeds like a lot of the base 100 mons. You outspeed like Garchomp and stuff like that, right? So you can outspeed stuff like that. You can click Gunk Shot into like Floettes. I think being a poison type is at a premium, especially if you're a bug that resists ground, so you're not just getting like smoked. And psychic types are just not that prevalent, right? So I think it's okay. Granted, there's one big psychic type that's really prevalent now, which can give you some trouble. Or you can get a speed boost. You can click Rock Slide into like Zards and maybe hit them before they blow you up, because you are going to die to any heat waves from Charizard. But 140 attack is really good. 149 defense is good. Doesn't it get body press? Okay, it doesn't. I don't think it mattered if it did, because that would just make it Goodra, and Goodra sucks. Does it get first impression? No. Oh my goodness. What kind of bug type moves does this thing even get? Leech Life, Mega Horn is good damage, but inaccurate. Leech Life is probably the best thing for it because you get to heal. But yeah, I think the best I can do is put in C. I don't think it's like utterly useless, but I think it's kind of like mid. So the reason I kept the Meta Evolvers in the S up is because I think that Metagross is like an S tier mon. I feel like it has to be. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm overrating Metagross, but we'll see. But I think if your matchup into Floette is like unlosable and like 1v1, I have to put you up here because like this guy is so bulky, right? Those Moonblasters are just not doing enough damage to this guy. Whereas like Floette can kind of plow through the other resist pretty easily. It can't plow through Metagross, and Metagross will always like one-shot it with Tough Claws boosted Iron Head. It did lose Heavy Slam, which is a bit unfortunate because like Metagross I think struggled a bit like to remain relevant back in the day because it didn't have a high base power steel move, right? And Heavy Slam gave it that, but then it took it away. So but right now I think it's performing well, and I think it'll probably still perform well. Maybe it goes back down later, maybe it's actually an A tier, but I'm gonna put it here for now out of like respect for what I think it can do. Phalanx is like useless. It's YouTube content. If you just look at its stats right here, like this is like what 100 and 135. Let me replace Scolipede with like Garchomp or something, right? Real quick. So look at like Garchomp, just like base Garchomp. Garchomp is 102 speed. It's faster. It's 130. It's just as strong. Garchomp is 108. This thing is 65. And they're both weak to Fairy, right? Garchomp is 85 speed def. This thing is 65 speed def. Like, ooh, it's Defiant. But Defiant is like, it's cool. But what if I just don't intimidate you and I just like beat you up instead because you can't take any hits because your defenses are 65 HP and 65 speed def. Like, it's a good defense stat, but like I can still blow through that really, really easily. And you're not like super duper fast. You're just kind of like fine. Like I wouldn't like Blaziken is 100 and gets speed boost and has a higher attack stat and better stab coverage. So like why would I ever use Phalanx outside of YouTube content? So Dragalge is up next, and Dragalge is super interesting to me because it has Regenerator, right? I don't think it's useless. I think it's actually pretty solid. And the problem with having Regenerator on its surface, when I look at it, when I think about it, like how Megas should work, is man, you want to stay on the field and do damage. You don't want to be switching out, and it's special attack stats already not even that high that I'm looking at its stats. Like adaptability low-key might just be a better ability, but you can regenerate and get health back, so maybe you can switch out, reset your Trick Room up, etc. But its health is not even that high for that. Actually, dang, I'm gonna put it in I think I'm gonna put it in D. I don't think it's like completely trolling. It might be completely trolling, actually. I didn't realize his stats were so bad. It's slow for Trick Room. Who do you hit in Trick Room with Dragon and Poison? Like, why would you use this thing over like Drampa? I guess you can beat Floette maybe. But if it Calm Minds, it'll just beat you, right? It'll just do more damage than you can. But Dragon Poison feels like good typing, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm not putting it in use in YouTube content. I think it's like solid. I think if you have like a Trick Room team and you have like a really good Trick Room sweeper, you can use this to fill matchups where the other Trick Room sweeper may not be as good, right? Pyroar is interesting. Pyroar is like kind of strong-ish. The way I see Pyroar, and I was talking to Marcos Moxie Boosted at NEIC, and I guess that this thing's fire moves are stronger than Charizard's, right? Or as strong as Charizard's, I want to say. Like, let me put Charizard in here real quick. Like kind of strong like how Charizard's are. Or no, it's got lied to me. This thing is way weaker than Charizard. Yeah, because the Sun is just stronger. I guess like it has more bulk, so you can make it live the rock moves and it's faster, but I don't know. 129 just doesn't cut it. Actually, I tried to explain Pyroar in a way that can make it feel like a C tier. But like its ability boosted in the same way Electric Terrain does, and nothing's stopping Raichu from getting boosted, right? But this thing still stinks. You have to run it with like Drought next to it, right? If you run it with Sun next to it, then it's, yeah, that's what it was. You can run it with Sun and then have your Fire main ability, and then you're stronger than Charizard. But like, that's a lot, right? For Pyroar. Pyroar stinks. So that's all the new megas actually. It's not that many. Oh yeah, because we put some of them in the bottom tier, right? Oh no, the only one we put was these two. Oh, these three actually. This tier is unordered completely. These guys all stink equally. They all smell really bad and need a bath. Oh, so then I'll do, because I have time, I'll do the new one, the older ones, right? So the reason I had this, like, for example, this is going to be in the Meta Evolvers. Everything you do in this format has to do with like, can you beat Charizard and can you beat Floette, right? That's essentially the format. If your team loses to Charizard, your team is bad. And if your team like hard loses to Charizard, your team is bad. And your team loses to Floette, your team is bad. Like, so you kind of just have to account for both of these in all your building. Like your team can be built in a way that's not dedicated to beating Swampert and still beat Swampert, right? You can still beat Metagross and naturally by having mons that kind of you can put a King Gambit on your team. You can have like your own fire types on your team that are meant to just hold your team together, and it's not necessarily like, oh man, I gotta beat Metagross. But you have to, every single team you build has to be thinking about these two. So like these are, they're in the tier by themselves in the Meta Evolvers. Mega Venusaur is really good. Put it in B. Charizard X I think is also solid. I'll put it in B. Blastoise is also pretty good. I'll put it in B. I do think it's I think this thing is more immediate because you just have to click Wave Crash. You don't have to do all the tricks you got to do with these guys. Beedrill, YouTube content. Pidgeot, YouTube content. Cliff is YouTube content. I like Kazam. I'll put it in D because it's fast. YouTube content. Put you in D. Oh, Gengar can go into S because Perish Trap is still broken. Shadow Tag is still broken. Trapping your opponents in still very strong. And we saw this thing win a tournament recently, right? So I can't put any lower than this. King is really solid. I'll put it in B. Starmie, just by nature of its being like a stat monster, I'll put it in C. Pinsir, I'll put in D. Gyarados, I think is solid. I'll put it in B also, maybe. No, I don't think it's good as Mawile. So I'll put it in C. C like overall, right? But I think like remember I made a video where Gyarados was like a good anti-meta pick. I still think it has that, right? I'm just thinking about like on its own. I think it's not as good as these guys. Aerodactyl is clearly an A. Dragonite, I think, has shown enough to be put up in B now. It's like won some events. Meganium, I want to put in B, but it has no results, right? Like it keeps losing because it sucks. So I'll put it here. I do think it's better than Feraligatr though, and Feraligatr is like one of my favorites. So as you can see, I'm not being biased towards Meganium when I'm putting my own guy down in D because he stinks. This guy also stinks. I'm not gonna fall for the wolf glick propaganda. I'm gonna put you in D also, because everyone else who tried to use it sucked, right? It does have that result, but it's still pretty bad. Low punny, I'll put you in C. I think C feels fine for it. Because I think the meta is a bit unkind to it. Yeah, because Blazing can outspeed it. This thing beats it. This thing beats it. This thing beats it. Like the additional of the new megas, like this thing also beats it. Yeah, the addition of new megas makes a lot of these a little bit harder to rock out with. Maybe this makes Gyarados a little bit better though, actually, because you look at like the stuff up top. You're good here. You're good into this. You're good into this. You're good into this. So maybe actually I'll put Gyarados in B. Purely for those reasons, actually. Yeah, I actually have to consider stuff like that. Gyarados actually becomes a little bit better than these guys for sure, because of the mons above it that it does well into. Scizor, Scizor, I'll put in. I just think there are better steel types now. I think Mawile and Metagross are just kind of like better. Heracross, YouTube content. Staraptor, I'll put. I think it has to be at least as good as. No, it's actually worse than Staraptor, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's worse than Staraptor. So I'll put it here. I think it's good, but it's worse than Staraptor. Tyranitar is it B or is it A? By nature of it giving you weather, I'll give it a bump because of the weather. I don't think it's like as strong as some of the other ones, but like the fact that you get weather control with and without Mega, I think it has value. Guardy, I think Guardy becomes a little bit worse by Metagross and Mawile being a thing now, so I kind of have to drop it a little bit. Aggron is poop. I won't say you're useless because you get fake out and stuff, but you're kind of poop. You're also better than useless, so I'll put you in D tier as well. Sharpedo, I'll always give a mon with like a natural boost. That's strong jaw and it starts with speed boost, so I'll put it in D. Camerupt is a good Trick Room Sweeper. I'll give it. God, no, he sucks. No, that's unfair, right? No, it's not. It sucks. Camerupt just does not perform well enough for me. Mega Garchomp is pretty solid. Lucario just doesn't have a role right now in the format. This guy, I think weather, I'll give you a weather bump to C. But like, actually no, because why would you use this thing over Frostlass, right? In the Charizard format, yeah, you suck. I think Glade is actually pretty underutilized. Inner Focus is good, but I guess you kind of want to be Inner Focus first. Is it as good as Guardy? Probably not. Frostlass, I'll put in B. No, I'll give Frostlass an A. I'll give it an A because it does have results, right? I have to respect the results, regardless of how I feel about Frostlass. I do have to respect the results. So, and I want to give it it has to be at least as good as T-Tar, right? So I'll put Frostlass in A now. This guy, because of his stats, I'll put him in C, but like it's kind of buns. This thing gets like no usage. This thing also gets kind of no usage. This thing never sees any play. Is it useless? Yeah, it's YouTube tier. Delphox is really good. I think if I'm going to respect the Frostlass results, I got to respect the Delphox results, right? Delphox keeps winning. It keeps winning. It keeps winning. Greninja is kind of cheeks, but I'll put it here because it can't be worse than Escudero, right? If you disagree with the tiers, I'm okay with that, right? Because the only ones that really matter are like B and above anyway. Like these ones I feel like are pretty much inarguable. The rest of that stuff, you can put it all in the trash if you want. Meowstic is garbage. Halucha is garbage. Crab is solid. I think it's better than no. It has way more use than these guys. It has way more use. Low key, I kind of want to put Raichu in B because I feel like Raichu is better than some of this stuff. But we'll see. Drampa, I'll put Drampa in C. I think it's like strong enough. Like it's better than Dragalge, right? So I'll put it there. Covillain, Don't think it's that good anymore, but I'll put it in B just because burning is really strong. And Glamour also feels kind of fine. So this is kind of where I think things are. Obviously I didn't put as much thought into the old ones as I did the new ones because we already hashed out the old ones a bunch of times, but I did think it makes sense to see a full overall picture of what I think things are going to look like, right? I think that these two are going to be everywhere. I think these two will still make a pop up, right? Because this one beats this one. It really helps, or it helps you beat this one at least. I don't know if it actually does beat it because Psychic Fangs will equal this, and I don't know if Shadow Ball equals this, so I might have to revisit that statement. I think this thing will have a big amount of appearances. I think this will continue to. I think these two will still be around. I think this and this specifically we'll see a ton of because they both have really good matchups into the Raptor, which seems to be a thing that people are using right now, and they both kind of just destroy that guy, right? So I think they'll still be really, really strong. The B tier, I think these guys are all very good as well. Obviously just not as like high end as the stuff above it, which I think is a fair placement, right? I really do like Raichu a lot. The 130 speed is really nice, and the power is really nice as well. But in my times, I haven't played with it yet, but in my times playing against it, I don't know if it's just people are bad, but it does get cleared really, really easily if you just play around the Zap Cannon smartly. So yeah, that's my tier list for now. If you guys have any disagreements or agreements, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to do a deep dive into any like individual Pokemon at all, or just like the meta overall, let me know what you guys want to see. I'm going to try to pump out this content again for you guys once again. Like I said before, or maybe I didn't say before, I've been away in New Orleans, and then I was down in New York City celebrating the Knicks, because it's all about the Knicks, baby. It's all about the Knicks. We are the champions of the world. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Click like for your boy, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.